the truth will reveal itself.
That's it. That's
And
it.
and you had said that was exactly what happened. And I just thought how thank you for sharing that with us, because it's relevant to so many of the concepts that we talk about, I think,
Yeah.
and we want to understand quickly and all of that. So yes, I just thank you.
I found that answer very good because it shows respect for other religions. We have to have respect of the thinking, even if it is thinking for the Jewish, it's a very great respect because they're not even allowed to pronounce the name God of Yahweh. So we have to be so careful not to hurt anybody. We don't want to hurt anybody. But to say the truth will reveal itself is good because people can find out themselves about the truth and about the thinking and thinking of concepts. And nobody says stop thinking. The Buddha didn't say stop thinking. And that's what Buddha also repeats always. We don't have to stop thinking of concepts.
Yes, and it's about patience also. It's
Yeah.
a good reminder about the role that patience plays in all of this. Yeah.
Yeah, and what I liked last time when I listened, how all the paramis come in, and Ajahn reminded us not to hurry, little by little, she always says, because we want to hurry to have to know the truth at once. But it all depends on panya, because when it is intellectual understanding, it has to be developed to direct understanding, but not by itself. And not by itself, this is the meaning of paramis, he said. Not by
Yes.
itself.
Yes.
And I think it also helps Ajahn's comment because it's not that there has to be thinking in a certain way. If one is interested in the Dhamma, one doesn't have to believe, accept what one reads. One just takes it for consideration, and maybe in time, there is an understanding of the idea. But if we take something like karma, for example, if one is not inclined to accept that at the beginning, it doesn't matter. One doesn't have to believe in karma in order to begin to have an interest in understanding more about the reality of the present moment. To think that one should think in a certain way, that wouldn't be the Buddha's teaching at all.
Yeah.
Actually, just on the topic of thinking, I was wondering about whether concepts actually have particular characteristics. When we understand that realities do, but the example I was thinking about was if we are, like during the discussions, if we are thinking about and discussing visible object or hardness, I wondered if there was a characteristic around that object of thinking, that type of thinking, that was, say, different to thinking about, going somewhere or something that we plan, or even just looking out of the window. I wonder if you might just make a comment around that, because it strikes me that the nature of the concepts are different, but that may not be the case.
Or the thinking is different rather than the concepts being different. Because if the thinking is indeed about the visible object and there is some correct conception of what that means, then it's a different kind of thinking to thinking about going somewhere.
Yes, it helps. It can help to understand reality. That's true.
So maybe what is noticed is that there is a difference, as you say, Jonathan, in the nature of the thinking.
Because if the concept of the
thinking.
visible object was entirely wrong and misconceived, then
Yes.
it wouldn't be the same kind of thinking, would it?
No.
So that it would have to be, yeah.
Just before we go on, I'd just like to say I'm very glad to see Tadao back after his illness or his hospital surgery. And Jan, are you here now? Jan, are you here now?
Perhaps not.
Perhaps not.
But how is Tadao's health now? I like to know whether he's okay.
The operation itself was quite successful, and I spent nearly a month in hospital, but I'm still weak. And also now my stomach is reduced by at least 2/3. So I can't eat so much, so I can't get much strength now, but I'm quite okay now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yes.
Now, to
Now,
hear that, Tadao.
and now he's here for the Dharma medicine,
Yeah, very
which will be the best help.
It's always important where you are.
It's true, no matter what the situation, healthy, sick, old, young, here, there, it always comes back to the realities now, the Paramatta Dhammas now,
Yes.
the seeing now, the hearing now, and so on.
yes.
Tadao, this is Mom Betty. We're so sorry to hear of the shooting of your former prime minister. It's a terrible thing.
It's awful. It's awful. Everybody in Japan is very much numbed.
Yes. Yes, it was a senseless, awful thing. And unfortunately, this kind of thing is increasing all over the world, whether it's against prime ministers or ordinary people.
Yeah.
Is there
a
some
terrible thing? Yes. Okay, sorry to interrupt with that.
I don't know it's correct to say, you can say there's more akusala of a certain kind now than before, Betty.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree. Much more akusala than ever before.
No, I don't think that's that can really be said. But,
Well, oh, sorry, not from ever before. We certainly had World War II and the Holocaust, other, but it is a very terrible thing, and akusala is definitely increasing.
What about the akusala now when thinking about it and being so shocked
Oh, yes, of
and
course.
disturbed?
Yeah,
So
I know.
it comes
When
back to the world at this moment, the here and now.
That's
and
right.
The reality
we think
when
about it,
hearing
yes.
about the news or when thinking about it, and one's so shocked and upset. What about the kind of citta at this very moment?
That's true. Being upset is so obviously akusala. And that's what the sad part about it is that we do get news like this and we do get upset, and there's conditions for akusala to arise for us as well. It's a sad thing.
Back
Okay.
to Maeve's point about thinking about the stories and the concepts. So the thinking is real. The akusala interest is real.
Absolutely.
The different citas, the seeing and the hearing is real, but the story about Japan or about the hospital stay or about the realities experienced yesterday are just
it's all
ideas.
stories, I know.
Yes. So that's why the path always has to come back to the understanding of what is true and real right now, no matter the circumstances, no matter what the situations or events are.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, we just go on living in the world of stories and ideas without any understanding, on and on. So, of course, different ideas are different. That's Maeve's point. Some are concepts about realities and some are concepts about ideas or events, but it's the thinking that is real at this moment, no matter what it thinks about.
Thank you.
But we are so much taken away by concepts and thinking of concepts. This week, I have been thinking about fear of death, and it's always the story of what will happen to me and the end of my personality. And we know in theory that it's wrong, but still we are overwhelmed.
So the thinking is real, the fear is real, the disturbance is real, but it's conditioned. It has to be like that. And of course, we know the real issue is the clinging to self, and that's real. The clinging is real. So it has to be like that, on and on. So it's only the very, very gradual letting go of the idea of self that means that there's more understanding of what appears, less fear or concern about what will happen to me. But it's such a gradual path.
We cannot force anything. So we cannot force not to think of the story. But it's good to know a little by little, as Ajahn always says. And she says that's the meaning of parami. Little by little.
It has to be like that. No one likes fear, but when there's conditions for fear, then it arises, but it doesn't last
to
at all.
express condolences about that there's to Tadao, that's all.
But we also think about his karma and vipaka, and we have to develop upekkha.
And when thinking about the other's karma and vipaka, isn't that a story about this person or that person? Is it any understanding of karma now or any understanding of vipaka now?
We are taken away again by the concepts all the time. But it's good to know that we are taken away by stories.
Like last week, Betty brought up the ideas that one teacher mentions about karma and vipaka and how it leads to an idea of nothing matters. But actually the question is there any understanding of karma now? Is there any understanding of what vipaka is now? Otherwise, it is a story about this person and that person, about karma and vipaka. So that's why it has to come back to understanding now, like seeing now is vipaka, hearing is vipaka. And in truth, it's not my vipaka or your vipaka or Mr. Abe's vipaka. It's just the reality.
Yeah.
Ajahn, are you here now?
Sawadika, I'm here now.
Sawadika.
Can you hear me?
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์สวัสดีครับ
ครับอาจารย์
I don't know if anyone would like to bring up the topics they've mentioned so far and ask Ajahn for her comments too, like Maeve or Betty or Tadao or anyone, or Nina.
Yes, I think it's so helpful if Ajahn talks about death, since many have fear of death, and we know it's clinging to a story of myself and not understanding the difference between conventional reality and absolute reality, because in fact, one chitta follows another, and also dying, and there is rebirth again. So there are the absolute reality, but it helps very much to hear more about that.
Seems like we know death, but in truth, what is death? Is death now? See, we just think about the terms, the story, and we fear the moment of death, but it can be just right now. No time to fear. And when it is momentarily death right now, it's not fearful at all. Right?
Yes, that's true. One chitta follows another.
Uh-huh. So it's better not to think about this, I think, because it can be right now, but we don't know when we do not understand what death really is. It's just chitta, no one at all. It's just right. It's just like now, arises and falls away, but it's not time to be death yet. But it's time to see, it's time to hear, it's time to think, on and on and on, non-stop. Moment before death, and then death, and moment after death, as now. Nothing to be afraid of. Only the word and the idea about death. But it's just like any reality. It arises only when there are conditions to condition the moment of death. No more this personality at all. So just live in this life as this person, that's all. And what would be next by conditions? Who knows whether we fear or not? It has to be as it is by conditions, that's all. That is the way not to fear anything, because whatever is there is by conditions. Seeing now is by conditions. Hearing now is by conditions. Thinking now is by condition. All conditioned moment from moment to moment. That's all. And that can be studied, that can be learned to know that actually we just dream or think about that which is not there anymore. Even right now, we talk about what it seems like it's there now, but in truth, it's not there anymore. That is the absolute truth. That can be known little by little, whether it's true or not. Sound just a moment ago, hearing just a moment ago, thinking just a moment ago. Why there's no fear of that? So it's just like that. Exactly the same. If we don't think about death like we don't think about next moment, it's exactly the same. So we can think about other things better than thinking about this, because it's just like this moment. When will it be there or not yet? It's not time to see such and such object. It's not time to hear such and such object. It's not time to die in this life. But who knows that moment? No one knows beforehand at all. No expectation come by accident or COVID or whatever. Who knows? Just a reality like other reality. Conditioned to arise and then gone. There cannot be death, on and on and on. Just only once in samsara, only one moment as whatever now appears. Seeing just a moment in samsara, death is like just only one moment of samsara, that's all. All other are so very, very short. It cannot last and it cannot be taken for anything because now it's not there. Only memory. Just keep on thinking of that as it's there. But in truth, nothing is there at all. Nothing is there at all. What is there appearing, gone instantly. It's not there at all. This is so true. And it can be a kind of released from trouble and fear. It's there by conditions like now. If we don't understand this, we can think about it and fear it. But when there is the understanding that it's just like any moment, conditioned to arise in a false way, that moment arises in false way as well. And the conditions for other reality after death arising instantly, like now, just like now. Everything is just like now. So if there's no fear of seeing, hearing, just only a moment, there's just a moment, but it's different from other moment. That's all.
Ajahn, but I'm clinging to the idea of that I want to know the arising and falling away, since I feel if we understand that, one understands many other things much clearer, but it cannot be forced because it all depends on panya.
Because and ignorance cannot let go fear at all. But the understanding of what is that is just a moment, no one there at all, or no one, it's only a reality. It's different by conditions. And the truth is there now to understand what is there. Seeing is not hearing, it's not thinking, it's not like, and so on. The truth is there all the time, but we forget to think about it because the accumulation of interest in other things rather than being interested in what is there now. That's why hear it again and consider it again. Seeing it's gone. See, it's gone. It's not always there at all. No more. And this is life, no matter when, it's gone. Just in 3 seconds, and then gone. So it's just as it is, like now. But right understanding is not enough to understand a reality which is different from other realities, from moment to moment, like seeing. Sees, nobody is afraid of seeing, and it's gone. And hearing is just a reality. It's there and then gone. No one is afraid of when it's gone because not understanding as it is, as just the way it is, not only death, not only birth, everything is just like that. And it can be proved or understanding the nature of it right now from hearing about seeing. It's not hearing, and who hears and who sees, seeing gone. So no one there at all. And hearing just a moment and then gone. So actually, one is not used or acquainted to the idea of the truth that it's not anybody. It does not belong to anyone because it's completely, absolutely gone. No matter in what life, it's there only when it appears. Little by little, all these words accumulated, developed to condition moment of beginning to understand what is that in life, little by little, that is only there when it appears.
Ajahn, you said no explanation.
Yes.
And you said that is parami. So I think it's helpful to hear more about that no expectation, and that is parami.
Say it again, please.
You repeated often, no expectation. And that is a very good reminder. And you added, and that is parami, perfection.
Yes, it is.
And I think, Nina, the clinging you mentioned, like the clinging to understanding the rising and falling, the clinging to understanding realities more deeply, this is the hindrance to the development of the paramis, because it's the opposite of no expectation. So that clinging and that expectation and that strong desire hinders the natural development of understanding now, the letting go of clinging to any particular experience, just accepting and understanding whatever appears now, no matter seeing, no matter fear, no matter wrong understanding, because they're just dharmas. But when there's that strong clinging, then no understanding of anything at those times. So it's good to know, I mean, the clinging is real too. There can be understanding of it, but good to know that it's the, it prevents the understanding and the letting go of what appears now naturally.
But even though, you want to expect or understand it, unexpect, and now we all also have expectation, and actually that also are not that actually also are that naturally come from. So maybe like we're hearing like this, it's not going to hearing about unexpected, but it doesn't mean that later that doesn't have expect, because we all been developed lopa and wrong view. Yeah.
And it has to be understood when it is there, when it appears, because if there's no understanding of it, of the clinging and the wrong view as causing the disturbance, then there won't be any development of understanding. So it has to come back to whatever appears now, not any selection or not thinking that the wishing for certain experience will be of any benefit. But it's the clinging, the wishing for results, or wishing for this and that to occur, that conditions the disappointment and the fear and the disturbance at this moment, especially the taking it all for my experience or my lack of understanding or my fear. Actually, just dharmas arising and falling away.
And what about just understanding what is there little by little? That's all. And that's all. That's all. No matter what would arise after, it doesn't matter as long as there is a little understanding of that which is there, little by little. For example, what is real is now there, appearing. That's all. And who knows that such understanding accumulated and developed little by little. No thought about when will I understand that as not self, and on and on. That is only thinking, as we can think about anything. After hearing that, we can think about that too. But just understanding, because we know that no one can condition anything at all arises by conditions. So a little understanding of what is there as a little understanding. Then other things, no matter what is there, followed. It doesn't matter as long as hearing now and understanding. That's all, and it's there accumulated until it can condition moment of more interest, more understanding, more thinking about that which appears at moment of hearing, the truth of it, or not even at moment of hearing, but it can condition moment of just thinking instead of not thinking about it anymore, to condition a moment of understanding that it's only that which is there. A little more attention to that characteristic. everything goes by little. So depend on understanding of each moment. That's all. That is moment of understanding, as the other moment is not the moment of understanding. And then it again, the moment of understanding. And this is the way to let go, desire or try to understand. I don't understand this. I know that it's not there, but it doesn't appear like that. It doesn't matter, because only moment of understand that it's there, it's a reality, and no one make it arise at all, and it's gone. All we have heard can be conditioned unknowingly. What conditions such thinking or idea or interest or more aware or whatever is there by conditions. Let conditions goes on by conditions. All realities are conditioned. That's why understanding is also conditioned in that way too. Like now, the way it is, understanding, and then no understanding, and then thinking, and then understanding, little by little. No hurry, no wrong understanding to try to do anything, because it's there at moment of understanding. It's moment of understanding. The other moment, it's not the moment of understanding. It's moment of thinking a lot about it. Different moments.
You say it's more thinking a lot about it. So that means thinking of the story is not the Paramattha Dhamma, the absolute reality.
Because there are conditions for such moment of understanding, that at moment of understanding is different from moment when there is desire to have more understanding.
Yes.
So just understanding when it's there to be known, as it's different from other moment. And all moments cannot be taken for anyone or anything at all, because it's there only one, so very short in samsara. Hearing more about this can let go the idea of wanting to experience it, but understanding it when there is hearing about whatever is there as it is. What is seeing? See, we think that we know it, but it's not the object of understanding yet. Because when it's there as the object, nothing is there. Only the reality which experiences an object. And now it is a reality which arises and experiences an object, but it's not time to understand the truth when it is the object of understanding. But when there is a little more understanding, on and on and on, who knows that they're conditioned to be aware of seeing, not as the object which is seen, by conditions. That's why leave it to condition and nothingness. No one can force it to arise, but hearing again and again, that is the only way to let go desire, not to understand what is there as it is. Now, not understanding what it is, or understand a little bit that it's there by conditions. That's why it takes quite a long time to let go. The idea, the clinging, the ignorance about the truth of what is there now. It is just like a reminder about understanding what is there. Otherwise, there cannot be any understanding of anything at all. If it's not the beginning of understanding what is there with interest, chanda, little by little, to know that it's the object that can be understood because it appears. If it does not appear, it cannot be the object of understanding at all. So whatever appears now can be the object of developing right understanding of the truth of it. That which is now appearing appear only when there is seeing. The reality which experience it otherwise even is there, is not the object of seeing. The truth develops little by little. The understanding of the truth from hearing and considering. And right understanding knows there's so many, many things to be known every moment. So it's quite a long, long time to be acquainted to the characteristic of that object as it is. Hard to see, it's a little by little, it can be object of awareness with right understanding. Otherwise, it's the object of ignorance and attachment, usually in the day. So everything goes on as usual, naturally, but what is not there before is the understanding of it is that which can be known as it is because it's there appearing. So when there's thinking about other things, the accumulation of right understanding begin to see that without that which appears, there cannot be understanding of the truth.
Go ahead, Shanti.
Hello, everyone, and Kun Sujin. I would like to explore more. There was some understanding while listening to Robert asking you about, which is not where I want to go, but Deva realms, hell realms, etc. And where I want to go is that you, in the discussion, brought it back to Chitta and that reality which is experiencing now. And also the discussion this morning, it's coming back from all the details and the stories and the speculation of places. Is it right understanding that because there's only Chitta experiencing now, that this is the only world, whether it be seeing in a hell realm or seeing in a Deva realm or in a human realm? I'd like to explore this more. Could you bring me back to that? Thank you.
Because there is seeing, but there's no understanding of seeing as it is right now, right?
Yes.
Even now. That's why even is there. What is the truth of it? What is seen without the seeing, which experiences the object which is seen? Can that object appear? It can be just thinking about the truth in the beginning. And when there's more understanding, it can understand the other reality little by little too. For example, that which appears must be experience. When it's seen, the seeing sees it. When it's sound, the hearing hears it. And this is the world. 6 doorways, moment of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and then thinking through mind. That's all in any life, this life, other life, whose life. There are only 6 objects appearing. An object does mean only number, but it means that the reality which can be the experience. Otherwise, it cannot appear at all without the experiencing, which experience it through 6 doorways, one at a time. And this is what we take for the whole, the life and everything. Only 6 doorways, one by one. Now, too, there is seeing and then mind thinking about that which is seen. There's hearing and mind understand the word. And before that, it experienced the sound and the sanya marks and remembers what is there as what it means and so on, just through 6 doorways. What else? From birth. And that it's also a moment when there is the reality which arises to experience, but the object is not the object of this world, because it's not the object which can be experienced through the 6 doorways. At moment of birth and puwanka and death moment, that's all in life, no matter what life. Just learn to understand what is meant by doorway and different ones, like the moment of seeing. There's nothing else at all, only that which is seen and that which experiences it. We can talk about other reality which arises, but now what is seen, we don't think about Phassa or Vedana, we think about the seeing to be known as it arises, otherwise it cannot see. Just understand the truth of what is there as it is, little by little. For example, we talk about seeing because seeing is there now, appearing. Even we don't use any word at all, there it is, which sees. Because it's now sees. And at the point of hearing, who knows that at that moment, in truth, there's no seeing anymore. Learn to see the difference between each doorway. For example, when there's no seeing, what is experienced is not that which can be seen. Smell cannot be seen, sound cannot be seen, hardness cannot be seen. Only one doorway which appears because there is seeing which arises to see it. That's all. No matter when and where and world, here or there. Seeing is seeing. And what is seeing? It's not that which is seen, because it arises to see, which means to know or experience the object, which it experiences. Only that in a moment, in samsara, never to arise again. Just consider the truth little by little to see the absolute truth that actually there's no one at all. And the understanding of this develop little by little. And when it's time for a moment to be aware directly with understanding of that which we have heard a lot about seeing, about sound, about visible object. So it's there. When that time comes, when there are right conditions for awareness to arise, to know, to understand that which has been like even hardness. It's there. We talk about it. It cannot be seen, but it's there. And by conditions, it is experienced. Otherwise, it's only thinking about hardness. But it's different from moment when it appears to the moment when there is a reality, experience it. The body consciousness. depends on the body sense too. All are conditioned little by little. This is the way right understanding develop. It's wrong at all, but it's not clear because only one reality is not really object of understanding yet. For example, we talk about seeing, but now there is also other things. It seems like they are together at once in a moment, but in truth it's not. This is a moment of developing, understanding the truth, and the understanding develops little by little to have no doubt about the truth of it, even it does not appear as just only one at a time yet. But when there's more understanding that hearing is not seeing, and they are quite apart, they cannot arise together at all. It can be the moment of being interested in that object, that it can be object of understanding of its truth, as it is only one at a time. And that is the beginning to understand one reality at a time, not all together. Because when they are all together, how can there be clear understanding of only one reality? That's why even talking about one reality one by one, it can condition moment of understanding. What is there? Seeing the object is not sound. So later, there can be the moment to attend to the characteristic of that which is seen or to that which is heard, different moments, like now, little by little, right understanding develops in its own way. No one can make it arise, no one can hurry it up to show up clearly. All depends on right understanding, which let go ignorance and clinging to what which is there as something or someone or me.
Thank you, Constantine.
Because
sorry, go ahead.
we talk about them because they are now, to understand them little by little, different ones at a time.
And talking about place, I realized when listening that there is only fear when there's speculation about place and putting it outside of the experience. But when there's remembrance of the experiencing, so the reality experiencing, the citta, there's no fear because it's the same as what we're discussing now. It's only speculation about things we cannot know, death or even modern stories like politics or fear of war or health, or losing or going into other things like Deva realms or hell realms. It's all projection outside of the experience. And it helps so much that you said, if we do not talk about place and think about place, and as I understood it, then citta is the place. I mean, not thinking about place, but that's the only experience and the only world, right?
So when we talk about world, what is the truth of it? If there's nothing at all, can there be a world? Nothing at all. No idea as well. Nothing at all. means nothing at all, no world. So, but when there is a reality, a characteristic of a reality, it's the arising, that is a world. We can break up the world into just one characteristic at a time. Each one arises. Without it, there is no world together, the whole world. Just consider what is true or not, what we heard from the teachings of the Buddha, whether it's true or not, whether it's known before or whether it begins to understand the truth. What we take for things and people and different worlds, but in truth, what is it? What is there? What conditions make it arise? The condition is to be such and such, not the other characteristic. Just talking about that which is there already, how come, and what is the truth of it, that's all. And the understanding of the truth is not ignorance, because it knows what is there as it is. Before hearing about the truth of what is there is the idea of things and people and the world. But when there is the words which talk about the truth of what is there, beginning to right understanding, beginning to understand, that is made very, very clever or right about the truth of what is heard. For example, it's there means there is something there. And what is the truth of something? At moment of seeing, the truth of that which is seen is different from moment of hearing. So what is real is real. No one makes it arise at all. It's before one can think about it right now. Seeing all the time, it seems, but there is hearing and thinking too. So it means that at the moment of hearing, there cannot be thinking. When we talk about just a moment, it means a moment of seeing, a moment of hearing, a moment of thinking. But it seems like they are there together. That is true. So what is the truth? And the understanding begins to develop. That's all. No one. But there's still the clinging and ignorance about other realities or even seeing right now, because it does not appear as it is yet there to be studied, to begin to understand it as it's only that which is seen because it impinged on the ibis. If it doesn't impinge on the ibis, it cannot be seen at all. And there must be the ibis seen. And what is the ibis? Who make it arise, but it's there by conditions. That's why I begin to understand what is there. It's no one and no thing, and no one can make it arise, but you have to reason by conditions, different conditions to be different ones, beginning to understand the truth, whether it's true or not. And it's not always there, because at moment of hearing, it's different moments. And hearing cannot see. So that which is see is not moment of hearing, moment of seeing. It's a beginning to let go. Accumulated ideas, so very strong to take it for I or things, that in truth, it's there only when it appears. But a reality must and remembers and thinks about that which is experienced, even it's not there anymore. But the reality in life, to understand it actually, what are in life? There must be the reality which experiences an object. Otherwise, it's not life or being at all. But there is also the reality which cannot experience by conditions too. The more understanding of the characteristic and the conditions for whatever arise can condition the understanding of no one and no thing, little by little, until another level of understanding was there by conditions to understand directly of a the right now by conditions, not expectation or unexpected. Even right now, who knows what the next moment is? It can be moment of enlighten the truth when there's more panya, more letting go, more understanding of the truth. Parami, have confidence of the truth, which is heard about what is there now. Who makes it arise, what sees it, and so on. As it's so true, it can appear as it is, but not to ignorance, but to the understanding, develop little by little, letting go the idea of wrong understanding, taking that for permanent and for things and people. Just like every moment in daily life.
Thank you very much, Kunsuji.
And the comment you made at the beginning, Chanti, I mean, I don't know if I completely got it, but when you were saying that there had been speculation about devas and different places, and Ajahn was talking about seeing, it's not because this is the only realm where there is seeing, but because it's the world right now, because it's what can be known at this moment. So it's just bringing it back to the world that can be understood now. Because if there's no understanding now of what appears or what the world is at this moment, there is just thinking and speculating about one story after another. So that would have been the point.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes me so happy. And that's what I wanted to explore more. And it's very funny that I wanted to transcribe, but you already did it, Sarah. It's from 2015, Pariyati. And yes, that's exactly it, that it made the what we're talking all the time about, a moment of seeing, which can be seemingly something, oh, I've heard it so many times, so interesting. And yes, I'm very grateful coming back to the experiencing, because exactly as you said, that's the only thing there is now. Doesn't matter where. Yes.
Think when we think that when we talk about what will happen at death, or what will the karma and result of Mr. Abe be, or what about the Peters and the other realms, the Devas, we think we're talking about Dhamma, but it is just stories about Dhamma. It's not the understanding of reality at this moment. So that's the main point. And I was also going to add to Nina, the craving would like to understand the arising and falling away of reality, or this or that. But actually right now, we have whatever we wish for, the seeing of pleasant objects, the hearing of sounds, the different experience that we've wished for. But whatever arises falls away instantly and is dukkha, as we know. So even the highly developed understanding, it falls away instantly. It's dukkha. So it's not worth clinging to at all, not worth craving after in the slightest, because even when it arises, it's gone immediately and doesn't belong to anyone and not in anyone's control at all. Maeve, did you wish to continue your thread at all, or bring up any of the topics with Ajahn that you were mentioning earlier?
I think what I maybe wanted to just mention, and it's actually also follows from the discussion we've just been having, but after last week, and the discussion was around how to share the Dharma with people, and the kind of questions that are asked, etc. And I later thought about that sutta. I think it's called Questions Leading Not to Edification, and it's where a particular person wanted the Buddha to answer certain questions about, is the world infinite, what happens after death, and a whole range of speculative questions, which he earnestly wanted the answers to, and in fact he was thinking of not pursuing the teachings if he didn't get the answers, and that led to when he put this to the Buddha using the parable of the arrow to actually explain what it is that's worth thinking about. And it certainly isn't about when we are in the dire situation of existing in samsara, to be wanting to know, like with the arrow, where did the arrow come from, who made the arrow, what's the name of the person, etc., when in actual fact it's a life and death situation. So I think just listening to Chanti's questions, it's like part of, I think, what Ajahn seems to encourage us to do is to focus on what is the priority. Whereas we're often quite keen on like the situational discussion, as you said, Chanti, the place, the circumstances around particular experiences, whereas it is actually the present moment, the reality that arises. We like to discuss everything other than that, in a sense. So, a good reminder about that connection, I think. Whether the Buddha's refusal to address those questions, I think there's something quite significant about that for us in terms of what it's worth thinking about. Doesn't mean that we won't continue to think about it, but maybe it puts it in some sort of perspective for us. So I think anything that is helpful in staying focused on what is relevant is really important. Yeah. So really, I suppose, just an observation from last week, but also maybe in terms of, I think there's a little bit of guidance in there about how we talk to other people about the Dhamma too.
Thanks, Maeve. And I think it's also what we were mentioning at the beginning. I think, Ajahn, you probably weren't here, but Betty was passing her condolences to Tadao about the assassination in Japan, and people were talking about the shock and the horror and how numb they felt and all these experiences, and wondering about the karma and vipaka of Mr. Abe and so on. But we forget about the here and now, about what is to be understood right now when reading the news, when listening to the details. What about the chitta at this moment? Because it all comes back to the world right now.
But Sarah, you were saying that when reading the news about death and very fear and all that, it's like that. We also all will be like that because we are all what pudujana, a lot of kilesa. So suppose someone come and want to shoot you, take a gun and want to shoot you, everyone have to fear, of course. Won't you fear, right? In the truth, I mean, understand the truth, but I'm talking, everybody will have fear. Like if someone tell them someone going to kill them, even you also will have fear, right? It's not that we still a putujana, and we're not arhata that doesn't have kilesa. So
The point is that I think, and this was Maeve's point too, is that we're talking about dharmas, about the truth to be known. So of course, fear is natural. Of course, clinging is natural. Of course, speculating about different stories about people and things is natural. But what about the truth now? What about the world to be known? Because as we said at the beginning, death can come anytime at all. What is to be understood at this moment? We don't need to listen to the Buddha's teachings to know that different people have fear and horrors and there are different stories. This is all the conventional understanding, but the Buddha taught about the world to be known right now, and these are different dharmas that arise and falling away, and all not self. So in truth, no one here, no one there, no Mr. Abe, no outer being. So the teachings are to understand right now, no matter whether reading the newspaper, here watching television or having discussion, it's still seeing now, hearing now, thinking now, that is to be understood. Otherwise, we live in the fantasy world about people and situations without any understanding at all, on and on and on.
Could I thank Jonathan, because he made me reflect on a proper perspective, and maybe that conditioned the listening that I referred to, and bringing it back to the experiencing. And yeah, I want to thank you. Maybe you want to say something more about proper view, but I really wanted to thank you.
I think what Sarah has just said pretty well covers it. And but of course, the thinking will go on. It's bound to, because of the accumulated tendencies. So we don't want to try to stop it. On the other hand, we appreciate that it is either we are able to discriminate between thinking that is beneficial and thinking that is not. And that's the important thing to keep in mind. So, and if it's thinking about Dhamma, not all thinking about Dhamma is necessarily beneficial in the sense we're discussing now, because not all the thinking about Dhamma leads to a better understanding of what is appearing at the present moment. So within the class of thinking about Dhamma, there can be a distinction between thinking that is wholesome or unwholesome, of course, thinking that is about or leading to the development of the path, and thinking that it's not about or leading to the development of the path, thinking that is conducive to bringing one to the present moment, or more likely to be a condition for thinking, reflecting on the reality of the present moment, or and other kind of thinking. That's all it is. And I think that's what is meant by keeping a proper perspective.
Yes, we were talking about the details and getting lost into Abhidhamma details, right?
Well, as you said, it's fascinating stuff to hear about all this, and but often our interest, our excitement about it, our fascination with it, is just a distraction, really. Not that we need to try and change that, as I said, but just to keep the right perspective about everything.
Yeah, and at this moment, I'm seeing a line between that there's no difference speculating about Abhidhamma details and anything else, really. It's just details.
Yes, in terms of the quality of the consciousness, whether it's kusala or agusala, for example, that's quite possibly so.
Jonathan, a little bit point you were saying, right, about fascinating, but you were mentioning about it was akusala, right, in akusala way, right? But when the understand Dhamma, Panya also see the fascinating of Dhamma, and that's because of understand. It's you got my point, right?
Sorry, I didn't quite get it. Would you mind repeating it, Haji? Thanks.
Like about fascinating, the fascinating of Dhamma also actually are very fascinating, but Panya see the Dhamma, I mean understand the Dhamma. So Panya also see the fascination of of Dhamma, of the reality. So that is a good kusala.
Well, that's the question, whether it's kusala or not. But we don't have to always know whether it's kusala or kusala. Personally, I'm inclined to think that where there is getting involved in detail that is beyond one's level of understanding to comprehend directly, then it's in an area where it is just speculative, it's hypothetical. There's nothing wrong with that, but just to keep in mind, it's not really likely to be related to what is appearing at the present moment.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Shall we come to think about what I know and what I don't know?
Yes, please, Ajahn.
So what I know, Mr. Abe, or what, or anything, the bread, the coffee, or I know this or that, and what I didn't, I do not know. What is there that I don't know? Or one knows everything, or exactly what does what mean when I say I know? What is the truth? What is the reality of anything from moment to moment in life, any life? I know or I don't know. Otherwise, there cannot be more understanding of the truth at all. We take what is so true and so true, like Mr. Abe and so on. But what is the truth? What is taken for that person or anything? Does anyone know the truth of it? The absolute truth that nobody can know. What is seen is seen. It's seen, it doesn't mean I see, but it's seen. There must be a reality which sees it. And if that reality does not arise, it cannot be a seeing, a moment of seeing. And what condition that reality to arise to be seeing? See, even it's all there in life, no understanding of the truth of that at all. Even it's there now, seeing and that which is seen. And the enlightenment of the Buddha and his words taught about the truth of what is there to be understood as it is, little by little, clearer and clearer, that actually what is there in truth. That's why I listen and consider it carefully to know whether it's true or not, or can it be changed. It's not like that, as it said. What is seen, just that moment in life, and many, many moments too in a day. But what are they? Moment of seeing. To learn to understand that there are more to know about what is there appearing in life. Seeing, hearing, where are they now? At moment of thinking, and at moment of seeing, no thinking, no life of this life. Can be known, the truth of it, of each moment as it is. Otherwise, there must be ignorance, not understanding the truth of what is there as it is. No one and no thing, no matter when and where. What is there is conditioned. Otherwise, it cannot just arise to be only that and then gone instantly. Never be found, never to arise again, only once in samsara, just one and once in samsara. Is that not true? And what is seen now is not that which is seen before. But it looks like it's the same, never changed at all. But seeing cannot be the same seeing as before, different ones by conditions. That's why we learn about the truth of each reality, or what is there in life, one by one. Whether it's I see, elephant sees, or what sees, but in truth, what is there? When there's no understanding, it's ignorance, as it can be known, but it does not know. No words about it to consider about the truth of it. But now, even one word should be considered carefully. We don't talk about other things which does not appear, which is not here now, but we talk about that which is now there, but it's not known as it is yet, until the enlightened one had enlightened the truth and talked about the truth of what is there in life from moment to moment in samsara, not just only in one life, and what is life without that which can experience an object, and who can stop its arising because it's there by conditions, who can stop hardness to arise to be hardened, or smell not to be smelled. All are there by conditions. That's why learning to understand what is there in life as now human being, not as animal, which cannot have thought, thinking about the truth of whatever is there at all. And who knows what conditions such birth, different from human beings' birth. That's why the truth is the truth. Just learn to understand, and that's all. Otherwise, ignorance and attachment and desire to understand, to have understanding, to let go and so on, comes without condition. But it's impossible just dream about that without understanding what is there now as it is. So what I know and what I don't know, only that person can answer what I know about that which is now appearing, or I don't know the truth of it as it is yet. That's why there are so many stages of understanding the truth, little by little. The first one is it's real. It's there. No one can make it arise. And they are different. Why they are not the same? There must be conditions to make it different and so on, little by little, just to understand, not to try to experience the arising and falling away at all, just to understand and understand even that which is attachment, aversion, and so on, that it's real. No one can change its characteristic at all. And it's there to be known because it's so short, depending on conditions, whether it arises again and again and again, so long, to be known just it is, anger or attachment, different conditions. The more there is the understanding of the truth, which is there now, the more letting go ignorance. I don't know that. I don't know how come. I like it. I don't know why I like it, and so on. And this is taught by the enlightened one. So the truth is so very, very subtle. Otherwise, everyone knows the subtlety of each reality, but it's not known because it's so subtle. It just appears and disappears instantly, so very, very, very rapidly. And other reality follows instantly. That's why when they are together, they be known as they are different by one, not be more than that. And it's now just to consider whether it's true or not, and hear more, consider more, that's all. Otherwise, there must be desire or attachment just to understand more than that. So each word should be carefully studied to understand, to have more confidence, such parami and Nidana parami, never change with Viriya parami, Khanti parami, Nekama parami, to let go ignorance and attachment and other unwholesome realities until at last, at the end, let go even kusala. There must be conditions for what to arise again by conditions. So natural. Life goes on by condition. So whatever is there, one knows by conditions. With its proper condition, it cannot just arise just like that at all. No matter thinking, like it's like attachment, aversion to different objects by conditions. Just consider whether it's true or not. Where are they now? They're gone instantly, unknowingly, until Panya develops enough to let go. That which covers up the truth, attachment, and ignorance from moment of seeing, hearing, smelling, and so on. With patience, great patience to understand the truth. Not try to stop it because no one can do anything to have it arise or to stop its arising because actually there's no one. What we take for something in truth, there must be a reality which can be taken for anything at all to be as people and things. Just consider whether it's true or not, and understanding works its way by itself at moment of understanding. Be patient to understand what is there as it is. How come? Can it be controlled? Can anyone have it there all the time? Or something pop up by conditions, all by conditions. To understand conditions, can let go the idea of I, which can do anything. What can be taken for I? Nothing. Seeing arises and falls away instantly, unknowingly. So right understanding begins to understand ignorance and attachments. The second noble truth is there almost all the time, different ways. So listening to Dhamma is to understand the truth of what there as it is. When we talk about other things, is there any understanding of the moment of thinking and talking, speaking, liking, disliking, which are there in those moments? So what do I know? And what I don't know? And can it be known? Because it's so true, it's there appearing. And the subtlety of our dhammas, it develops very gradually, just little by little, unknowingly. How long it takes to take what is there as something in someone. So how long it takes more than that to let go wrong understanding and the I self and things, because it's not that anymore, all gone. And when it's there again by conditions, like seeing again by conditions, different conditions. And this is the truth in life, every life. So does anyone knows one's life as it is? And Buddha enlightened the truth, and he taught about the truth in daily life. As it's so true, it can be directly experienced with understanding, not without understanding. What is there? What is there? That's no understanding at all. We talk about how deep it is, how subtle it is, because it's there long time ago. It's still as it is from moment to moment and at all. But it can be known. And Buddha taught about the path leading to understand the truth. It's now hearing, considering, understanding, little by little. And even it's little by little, when it takes long time, it's more. And Buddha taught a lot about everything because it's so very deep and it takes quite a long time to understand what he said. So now, listen to Dhamma is listen to what is there in life. The absolute truth. Is there interest now to understand the truth?
Yes.
Can anyone make it arise? Without hearing, considering, can there be interest to understand the truth? That's why even interest has to be conditioned. So it is satya parami, the truth to the truth, with viriya and kanti, nekama, all are there, firmer and firmer, more and more, little by little, with their conditions. No one can stop whatever arises. When time comes, the readiness more of conditions. So now it's time to listen, to consider, to condition more understanding, more letting go, wrong understanding and ignorance, little by little. And this is parami. Without conditions and parami, there cannot be enlightenment of the truth of this real moment.
So as you said, had you, oh, go on, Ajahn.
Yes, so we can talk about anything,
Yes.
to have more understanding, to let go wrong understanding. Because Buddha taught about everything.
Yes, Sarah was.
I was going to say that just as you said, of course, because wrong view hasn't been eradicated and there is still so much lobha and akusala interest. So there's interest in the story of the gunman and the gun and the shooting and this and that. And it's all taken for being the real story. But the point of listening to the Dhamma, as Ajahn said, is to begin to understand the absolute truth. And the absolute truth is that in reality, there is no gunman, and there is no shooting, and there is no gun. There are just different dhammas arising and falling away. And those dhammas can only be understood at this moment. So if there isn't the beginning to understand the world right now, when reading the news, when talking, when thinking about different stories, when will there be the interest to understand a little more about the truth? So it doesn't mean there isn't going to be lots and lots of akusala interest in all sorts of stories, often with lobha, often with wrong view. But the point of studying the Dhamma is to begin to understand what the truth is then, just like now. And it has to begin with the understanding of what is appearing now to really know what is true and what is just a story.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm not, that's absolutely correct, because actually they are all Dhamma, no one, no things and all that. But even though conventionally we saying that we are rich, poor and all that going to be killed, this, that, all story, but still they also are Dhamma because there's in daily life, right?
The point is that when we say things like, oh, what will you do if a gunman comes into your house and, well, this and that, the point is that we're forgetting what the reality is now, the seeing now that is true, the hearing that is real. There's the taking for the story, for being something, but actually there's nothing at all. Nothing at all out there. Just different passing dharmas, no matter at that time or this time or any time, all unexpected, all arising by conditions. No one knows what the reaction will be next moment, whether it will be interest with lobha or interest with understanding, because it's conditioned and it falls away instantly, not to be clung to at all, not worth clinging to at all. So understanding what is real now is the way that there is the understanding of what was real yesterday and what will be real tomorrow. Still just seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking on and on and on.
Yeah.
Jyotika or Alberto or anyone else? Does anyone else have anything they'd like to bring up today? Anli or Alan, anyone who hasn't brought anything up so far?
Yeah, hello, this is Andy. I would like to share just my thinkings now as I listen to the discussion. So exactly as Sarah said, that or not, so actually that's it's not real. Gunman is it's not real too. So for me, it's because there's no one and there's no death actually. So actually, it's also human being realm or deva realm are not real too. Hell or heaven, there's only concepts. So thinking never stop, seeing never stop. Dhamma will never stop until there are conditions for them to stop. So just something to share from myself.
Thanks, Anli. And what you say is right. Just different dharmas arising and falling away on and on and on, whilst there is life in samsara. And no matter this realm or hell realm or deva realm or any realm, this life, next life, just the same, different moments of seeing and hearing and thinking, kindness and clinging and ignorance, on and on.
Yes, and actually, I recall some topics that we discussed earlier from Phun Palang when he says about physics. So I agree that just for myself, I agree that physics, especially modern physics, have a lot of explanation and contribution to the conventional life. But one thing that I want to bring up that even though there are many progress in knowing the materiality, the material worlds, but to me it seems that physics made no real progress in understanding the consciousness. As long as I understand, physics cannot explain how consciousness come from, or yeah, it's all like only psychological studies have some insights into the process, but physics only deals with the permanencies of materiality. So for me, it's somehow the physics is powerless in understanding the consciousness, such as how seeing or how thinking arise. So in that terms, from my own personal perspective, the Abhidhamma offer a lot of more advanced knowledge than physics in terms of the mind and consciousness processes.
I think that physics has zero understanding of reality because the object of understanding in physics is an idea. It's never a reality. So the words in physics never point to, for example, hardness. Hardness is a reality. The physicist never understands hardness as just hardness. It's an idea about hardness. And going back to what Jonathan said a couple of weeks ago, that the word for what is seen, visible object, which we call visible object, there is no word in the English language. That kind of indicates that science has no understanding of what is seen, because science creates lots of different words, protons, electrons, quarks, leptons, but there is no word in the English language for what is seen. It indicates that they have no understanding through science of that reality. It's only through Buddhism that realities can be understood, because the object of understanding of the Buddha is unique to Buddhism. It's not in any other subject at all. Science, mathematics, philosophy have zero understanding of reality. So that's the way I would interpret. I don't know what Sarah would have to say about that.
I think this is right, because it's just thinking about different concepts and the enthusiasm, the attachment to think about and work out the different concepts, but it's not the understanding of the absolute truth at this moment, such as hardness or what is visible, which is just the same in the Buddha's time as it is now. It's timeless because it's always the absolute truth. And this is what cannot be understood without the Buddha's teaching.
And I want to add a little bit, Alan, it's not whether physicists or whatever mathematician or and all that. If there was no enlightenment of Buddha, no hearing of the Buddha, the truth cannot be, the oneself cannot understand the truth. Without Buddha enlightenment and teaching, no one can know the truth. Not at all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yes, and because he enlightenment special word to mean that no one can know the truth at all if there's no hearing of Dhamma. So Dhamma, only Buddha enlightenment then teach. Otherwise, nobody wherever can know the truth, not even anything at all.
Yeah, and I think that science, if you don't recognize it, science can block the understanding of the world, because those words in science are not pointing to realities. So if you are continually occupied with science, if you make science your God, if you like, you will never come to understand reality. But of course, if you understand the difference between science and Buddhism, between concepts and reality, then you can be a scientist and develop understanding of reality. But if you think that science is the only way of understanding the world, that will block the understanding of the world. So it can, even though we have this deeply rooted idea that science understands the world, in actual fact, it can block the understanding of the world because of attachment, not because of the science. So what I found that what Sarah was saying last week quite interesting about the fact that the scientist isn't really any different from anybody else in terms of their beliefs. They have beliefs which prevent them from understanding the world just the same as everybody else. So if you look at the hindrances to developing understanding, wrong view or attachment, it's the same for everybody, scientists included. It doesn't make science doesn't make them better or more able to understand the realities of life. So I thought that was quite eye-opening what Sarah said last time, that actually scientists have beliefs exactly the same as everybody else.
And what you say is also true, that if there is understanding, then one can work as a scientist or a doctor or a psychologist, my background, or in any other field, but without the misunderstanding or the expectation or the wrong idea that it's actually solving the real problems in the world or understanding the truth at all. So it's the wrong understanding and the expectations that cause all the problems, no matter what the background, no matter what the philosophy or religion or background one has.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we're putting it outside ourselves at this moment, speculating about others, not forgetting about the experience now.
But now yes, but now it's the understanding that it's the clinging now, clinging to the idea of science or philosophy or psychology or medicine as being. So whenever there is the idea that it is an understanding, it can be known that it's not right. So it comes back to one's understanding or one's idea now, to understand the truth now of what is true, what is absolute reality, like the hearing now or the seeing now, which cannot be understood in any other way but by the careful considering and understanding of it when it appears.
I mean, Buddha enlightened men and taught that all are Dhamma, all are Anatta, no one, no self, just each reality. This, if you hear like this, it's impossible to know by yourself. No one can would think that they, me, you, and all other things, this, that. So the first everything are Dhamma. That's the world of the truth. All are Dhamma, no one, no thing, just only particular Dhamma.
And when there's the idea that the scientific view or the medical view or any other view is more advanced and the Buddha's ideas are old-fashioned, this is not understanding the absolute truth now.
And maybe the Buddha is inviting us to be our own scientists at this moment, because we're considering and we're exploring this moment and this experience and what is experiencing.
And that is the definition of physics, because physics means knowledge of nature. So we can call Buddhism physics because it's the knowledge of the present moment. But it's not science because it's not just the thinking about reality, but it is the direct experience of reality. So we can, I think, call Buddhism a type of physics.
A type of physics, a type of medicine, a type of psychology. It doesn't matter what we call it, but it has to be the understanding of the truth. And back to Tao's comments at the beginning, Ajahn, you may not have heard that Ajahn, that Tao is here out of hospital, and we were talking about how the Dhamma is really the best medicine of all. And it has to be the medicine now to understand the absolute truth.
Because no matter what medicine he took, can he cure his misunderstanding or desire or wanting to get well and so on? Only understanding what is there is conditioned. No matter having COVID or not, or such different kind of illness, by conditions. And the truth is that it can be experienced only through 6 ways, only that. At moment of experiencing what is there, that is touched. How can anyone say anything about that? By science or by what? Medicine or what? In truth, There are conditions for such moment of experiencing that very object. Only once in samsara, just consider the truth whether it's true, like that. So leave it to conditions, and the wholesome condition the whole wholesome result, pleasant result. But when it's a kusala, who knows, it conditions unwholesome manners and speech and action and deeds. So what can be the result? Unpleasant results. So what is there at moment of touching? Pleasant or unpleasant object. No matter we call it this kind of illness or what kind of medicine or what kind of science, just that which is there in a moment by condition and then gone. It's quite a relief to understand that actually there's no one, no thing. They depends on conditions only, no matter what moment. That's why even someone treat you badly or harsh word, it doesn't condition trouble in your mind at all. If there is understanding, and it can condition moment of being compassion to his ignorance and so on, the best medicine that cure the moment of experiencing an object, not to be wholesome. So understanding what it's meant by the absolute truth. And there cannot be concept without the absolute truth. But concept is not absolute truth. Without memory, how can we know about this and that? Science or science? So what are there are different realities to be known as no me, or the different realities, no matter at moment of being ill or in trouble or present situation, events, whatever is there, only by conditions, and they do not last at all. Just in a moment, arising together, fall away together, never to return. Is it wise to take it as something permanent, to cling to it when it's not there anymore? Otherwise, there cannot be letting go, ignorance and attachment. Without right understanding, develop more to understand the true nature of what is there, it's impossible to realize the truth of anicca, dukkha, anatta. And it's not really experienced directly. It's impossible to let go, to cling to that object as something or I or anyone. So there is the understanding of the cause of ignorance and of right understanding. Different conditions. And right understanding does not fear anything at all. And the truth is the truth. And fear is just a reality, arising and falling away. Like other moment, other reality never lasts. Just very shortly, arising and falling away. Why cling to it? It's not there anymore. No matter what kind of reality, they do not belong to anyone at all. Just being conditioned to arise and then fall away instantly. Whatever arises is by conditioned, no clinging. It does not last, it's gone. Should it be object of clinging when it's not there anymore? To become acquainted with the characteristic which is the self, until in life what is there is just a momentary reality. And right understanding can understand any reality at any situation.
Thank you very much, Ajahn. Appreciate all the discussion and everyone's contributions.
สวัสดีครับท่านอาจารย์
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับท่านอาจารย์
Thank you, Ajahn.
Bye bye.
สวัสดีค่ะ
กราบเท้าท่านอาจารย์ค่ะอนุโมทนาค่ะคุณเตระคุณจอม
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Jana.